Welcome to the Guided Expressions podcast with Martin Williams, the place to learn and be inspired to live your best life. Here is your host, Martin Williams.
Hello, everybody. My name is Martin Williams. Thank you for tuning in to the Guided Expressions podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. You can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud. All podcasts can be found at guidedexpressions.com/podcast. So today what I wanted to talk to you about is The Power of a Decision. This is a book that I have started to read. I'm not even done reading it, but it is so good that I couldn't really wait to share what I've learned from it so far. The book was written in, I believe, 1968 by a man by the name of Dr. Raymond Charles Barker. Now, Dr. Barker was a science of mind teacher based in New York City. So a lot of his teachings are based on the teachings of people like Ernest Holmes and Charles Fillmore, and I also believe Mary Baker Eddy. Like, there are a lot of those early science of mind teachers who shaped a lot of what we call personal development today. Louise Hay, Wayne Dyer, Jack Canfield. A lot of what they teach, the law of attraction, The Secret, a lot of that teaching has its basis in science of mind. Not all of it, but a lot of it. And so Dr. Barker was a local teacher of it. He gave lectures, and he lectured to thousands of people every single week on these teachings. So the particular book has to do, obviously, with making decisions, but it doesn't really teach you how to make good decisions. It teaches you the power of making a decision. And I think it's something that is really overlooked. I know it was overlooked in my life because I see decision making as a process. Not that Dr. Barker doesn't teach about that, but I think I probably overthought the simplicity of just making a decision and just deciding, okay, I'm gonna do something, and not having to know exactly how you're going to do it. I think that that's something also that a lot of us have been taught as being irresponsible. How many times have people told you, don't jump into something unless you know how you're going to get out, which is good advice on the surface, but I think it's more important to understand that when you make a decision, the ability to carry out that decision will manifest itself if you understand. I think a lot of people don't really understand how powerful a decision is. In the Bible, it says, in all thy getting, talking about wisdom, in all thy getting, get understanding, right? It's more important to just get wisdom. Getting wisdom is important, but it's even more important to get understanding, right? And I think that that's what was lacking in my life, is that I might have had wisdom, I might have had knowledge, but I didn't have understanding. Okay, I was working with my daughter. She was doing some math homework, and a lot of the answers she was figuring out because she had memorized them. And that, I said the memorization is good, but I wanted her to know why the answer was the answer, because if you don't remember for whatever reason, or maybe you forget, because the answer might have been in short-term memory, I wanted her to understand how to get back to it. And so, she eventually understood, and we were able to work our way back to those right answers. It's important for us to understand why something is the way it is. So when you talk about the power of a decision, what Dr. Barker is essentially saying is when you make a decision, to do something, and it's a wholehearted decision, the power to carry that decision out and to manifest that decision is deposited within you. And all the answers, everything you'll need, all the resources, everything you'll need will meet you on the way. And so I looked at my life and I said, man, I was, I remember, not having enough money to finish medical school. And I remember not being able to pay my rent at one point. I also remember, not being able to pay my car note. I remember all these different things. Not being able to make my first marriage work, and all these other things. And I realized that all of the mistakes, and I put that in air quotes, that I made, and as a younger man, was really at the heart of not really making a decision. And I wonder how different my life would look. And understand my life is very good right now, and I'm not in any way regretting anything. Um, but how much my life would look differently if I had just decided to do the thing that I was struggling to do. And so what I would do, and certainly, and there are a lot of other things that I want, but I'm basically making a decision to get them now, right? Instead of working for something every day, I think it's more advantageous to say, I'm deciding to get out of debt. Like for me, I've made a decision to get out of all unsecured debt. I've made a decision to finally get to my ideal weight. I've made a decision to own rental properties. I've made a decision to build my business into an 8-figure business. I've made a decision to, just to maximize my potential in every area of my life. I've made that decision. And when you make that decision, it's so powerful. Something changes within you. You start thinking differently. You start thinking, instead of thinking about how you're going to do something, when you make the decision, it's like you're already in the arena. You're essentially saying, okay, I've already decided to do it. So it's more or less you're sitting back and you're going to see how it all unfolds instead of trying to do everything. And I think that's where a lot of people get stressed out, is that they're mentally trying to figure everything out, and it overloads your mind. Instead of saying, okay, I've already made the decision that I'm going to do this, so I'm just going to, it's almost like you're being led. I'm not saying that don't do anything, but you're being led to the solution. Like you're being led to how it's going to work because you've already made the decision. So it's not a matter of, well, how am I going to get this done, or how am I going to make this work? You're thinking beyond that. And I think that's really the difference. I think it's really the difference. And I'm gonna come back and I'm going to go through each of the chapters in subsequent podcasts because I really want people to learn about this and use it in their lives, because I think a lot of people are really worn out, they're stressed out, they're frustrated because they really haven't made a decision to do the thing that they're frustrated about, right? You may be frustrated in your relationships. You may be frustrated in your job. You may be frustrated in your business, and nothing's really working the way that you thought it would be working. But really ask yourself, have you made a decision? Have you made a decision that I'm going to make a certain amount of money this year? Have you made a decision that I'm going to be loved, and I'm going to love, and I'm going to be in a relationship with someone who loves and respects me at a higher level. And I'm not going to allow myself to settle for less anymore in any area of my life. Have you made that decision yet? Because really, that's the power. When you make that decision, and that's something that only you can do. No one else can do it for you. Only you can make the decision yourself. You have to decide. You've got to make the decision that you're going to live a better life. You've got to make the decision that you're going to perform at a high level at your job or whatever you're doing. You've got to make the decision that you're going to be the person that you want to be. You've got to make that decision. And so I think it's powerful. I think that we really don't understand how powerful a decision is. And when you start making decisions, conscious decisions to improve your life, whatever it is, whatever that looks like for you, you're going to start seeing things change and things shift in your life like you never did before. And I'm excited. I'm really excited to teach this. I'm really excited to put people onto this book. And I think it's going to help a lot of people. The name of the book, again, is called The Power of a Decision. It's by Raymond Charles Barker. You can find it on Amazon. I will absolutely throw that link in the description box. And you can also listen to it on Audible. I actually listen to it on Audible most of the time. If there's things that I need to study, I'll use the Amazon. I'll use the Amazon version, but for my day-to-day, I just listen to it on Audible, and it really helps me tremendously. So thank you so much for tuning in to the Guided Expressions podcast. I will talk to you soon. I will talk more about this book, and I also want to invite you to listen and purchase my new book. It's called The Blueprint Visualization System. It is a book that will help you visualize like you've never visualized before. Even if you're a complete beginner, even if you're someone who's never visualized in any way on purpose, this system will really help you learn to live a life on demand. The Blueprint Visualization System will be available at the end of the month, at the end of February of 2020. Whenever you're listening to this, you can go to guidedexpressions.com /BVS and get that book and really begin to visualize your life one step at a time. Again, thank you for tuning in. My name is Martin Williams, and I will talk to you soon.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Guided Expressions podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify to get all the latest content from Guided Expressions. No one builds a house without a blueprint, so why are you trying to build your dream life without one? That's how the Blueprint course was created. The Blueprint course is for people who know they were meant for more. Created by Martin Williams, the Blueprint is a streamlined way to help you create the life you've always wanted. Get instant access now by clicking the link in the description box or going to guidedexpressions.com /blueprint.